Bullpen malfunction on Wednesday night as the Cardinals let the Dodgers come back from a 6-run deficit. What went into the bullpen malfunction? Was it management? Was it player performance? We will discuss.
The bullpen, yes, may have pooped the bed, but the offense still got some contributions from some unlikely names. We'll discuss it all next on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, July the 14th of 2022. Welcome to Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making it your first listen of the day. I'm Lucas Smith, the Cardinal enthusiast. That's JD Haffron over there, the other Cardinal enthusiast of the show. Happy Thursday for the first time this week, JD. It's not a victory Thursday, but happy Thursday nonetheless.
Yeah. I'm in mostly black today because we as a nation have lost. The Sage lost.
Poor Sage.
It's sad. It's sad. No, the sky's not falling. It's not the end of the world, but a tough one last night, brother. Man, that one stung.
You go from arguably one of the wins of the year, at least the moments of the year, at the Packy Naughton, bases loaded, nobody out. You know, a lot of momentum. Whoa, the Cardinals beat the Dodgers. And then you go to last night when you can make an argument for the loss of the year. And the Cardinals have had a few candidates of those this season, as it's been somewhat painful. But today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline, as you covered this season, with the same props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. JD, I'll have more on BetOnline in just a little bit. But got to start with the bullpen, because yesterday's bullpen, just plain and simple, did not have it. You know, characters that usually have it don't. We've seen more and more uneasiness, if you will, from Giovanni Gallegos.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we didn't warn everybody
Right.
yesterday when Gallegos comes into a game with a one-run lead. Everybody, and I mean everybody, whether it's ownership, the upper management, Ali Marmol, everybody should be sweating bullets because he just doesn't make things easy. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a clean Giovanni Gallegos inning.
Right.
Like, it just has not been there for him, and specifically in the last 4 outings, I think it was, where he's given up at least one run in his last 4 appearances. And again, he's pitching up in the zone, and unless you're throwing Helsley heat where you're in triple digits, it's hard to live up there. And he got burned again last night.
And this is not to say that they're pitching against an easy offense, and we understand the Dodgers are the Dodgers, but you still have to be able to beat the best to be the best, right? And if the Cardinals have World Series aspirations, which I was watching an MLB Network feature on them yesterday. I think they were on MLB Network last night, so they, social media, check that out on MLB Network's Twitter. They were talking about how their goal is to win a championship. And I'm sure a lot of Cardinals fans and Cardinals followers, and maybe national followers, will kind of balk at that take. Like, you think you're going to win a world? You know what I'm saying? Just because of how the bullpen has performed. And last night, I think that the biggest culprit, for lack of a better phrase, was Genesis Cabrera. Just didn't have it. When he doesn't have it, he does not have it. Had to pull him earlier than you might expect. I think that you mentioned we were talking that they probably expected him to go 2. He's not able to do that. Just a painful night for Cabrera, who hasn't had many of those this season.
No, and there's going to be hiccups along the way. After what so we know how things got a little goofy on Tuesday night.
Right.
Okay, we know that the plan where they moved people around and Hicks had to start and all this, and we knew that there had to be some kind of plan there. And I truly believe after everything they went through that night, last night you were hoping to get 6-7 innings, maybe even out of Wainwright. They were hoping they didn't have to use all these guys. Right. They really weren't trying to. It's not like they were like, you know what, this was a great idea. Let's throw Junior Fernandez. They didn't want to. Okay, I don't think that was part of the plan whatsoever. But as we mentioned, we were like, okay, Wainwright, you're going to have to go along with him. That didn't happen. Okay, he struggled to get out of the 5th inning. You know, he was his pitch count was up early, and so you're already cutting the game down there. So you're like, okay, now we got to get 4 innings worth of outs out. Genesis Cabrera, who did not have to pitch the previous night, struggles, throws. Just you got Wild Cabrera, which again you said you hadn't seen a lot of them yet this year, of course, but every once in a while that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So instead of throwing 2 innings, he's only to get 2/3 of an inning is what he ended up getting out of. So that was bad, and that just kind of torpedoed how the end of the game was going to roll. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for the Cardinals, and it did for the Dodgers.
No, I think everything is a reaction to the thing before, right? You look at the bullpen with Hicks being down for this series, Oviedo's, because you probably would have seen Oviedo in the situation instead of Fernandez if Oviedo was available, right? Because we're starting to see Junior Fernandez maybe not show his true colors, but show us the colors he was showing beforehand, right? The struggling Fernandez, can't find the zone, all these different things. So Oviedo was down, Hicks was down. I didn't expect Oviedo to pitch on Tuesday. I thought it was just going to go straight from Hicks to Liberatore. Ended up not, that's not how it worked out, which is in theory fine, right? But when you have Adam Wainwright throw 100-plus pitches through only 5 innings, like you said, then you know that you're going to have to get, I think it ended up being 3 2/3 of an out out of the bullpen, out of a depleted bullpen. One that is down Hicks, one that is down Oviedo, one that is going to rely on Drew Verhagen, one that is going to rely on TJ McFarland. The names that just aren't really positive names for the St. Louis Cardinals at all. You saw Packy Naughton come in, not give up an earned run. He got a strikeout in 2/3, so you see Packy Naughton's excitability and his trust continue to rise. Got to give a shout out real quick. Jeff Snyder, Locked On Dodgers, and Vince as well, but Jeff made this quote. He thought that Packy Naughton was in witness protection program, but got a bad CIA agent because he picked a bad name because it's Packy Naughton, which I thought was pretty funny, so I thought that I'd shut that out. But when you got to rely on guys like Verhagen and Fernandez, Fernandez has been nice, but Verhagen, man, I don't know. His ERA has ballooned up to 6.86. He gives up 2 earned in 1 inning's worth of work. When Matz comes back, he's got to be the one to go, doesn't he?
I would assume so. Right. Barring any injury of any sorts, I would assume that's what would happen. But it was a bummer too because he got the first 2 guys. Right, on strikeouts. It was we were like uh-oh, Drew. Okay, all right, let's get there. No, and then it just went like that, and then you get the home run, and you're like, all right, it's 6-2. We can live with this, but dude, really,
right.
Again, and again, that started things down a bad path too because if you got a guy out of that inning clean, you're still up 6-0, you go into, and then if Cabrera does struggle, you still got that cushion, and it just didn't happen, man. Dodgers are good. The Dodgers are good. The bullpen for the Cardinals was depleted. You'll have these stinkers from time to time. You certainly will, but it was a tough one to watch for sure.
There's no doubt, and with Verhagen, like you said, if the Cardinals win this game, we're probably not talking about him. We're probably saying, yeah, he's okay. Yeah. He pitched bad, but we can live with it, right? But what you can't live with is when Verhagen and everybody else is poor, because the only bullpen piece did not give up an earned run yesterday, Packy Naughton, right? So you have that going for you in terms of you have Naughton's stock rising and everybody else's is sinking, right? And like you said, Gallegos didn't have it. Gallegos has blown his 6th save yesterday. 6 blown saves for somebody that really is arguably not your full-time closer anymore. Ryan Helsley's taken over somewhat of that job, right? So, bullpen ERA isn't really something I tend to look at. 3.86 isn't great, but in the bullpen you have these weird things that happen. But still, 3 hits. He did not walk a batter. He looked good with a couple strikeouts, but, got to get Gio right. Got to tread water to the All-Star break. Next 4 games, you've got to go 500. You just got to get to the All-Star break, get the bullpen rested, get some guys back. I think after the All-Star break, hopefully this bullpen is more rested. That's what you got to hope for, right?
Yeah, they're kind of limping towards the All-Star break here because guys are tired, man. Yep. I mean, the first half of the season is coming into end, and I'm sure every team in the major leagues is dealing with some sort of fatigue factor at this point. They were very, very good until last night, so I'm not saying let's blow it up. Right. We're all done. But last night it was a hiccup to, again, one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. So I'm not going to freak out about it too much. You just hope that they can learn from whatever mistakes that they made and move on and use it in a positive manner going into tonight's game. Try to get a series win against the Dodgers tonight. I mean, that's a thing too. It's like, okay, it's one game, guys. Okay, this wasn't a wild card matchup where we're out. No, we still got a whole half of the season to go. And you still have a chance to win the series tonight, and then you got the Reds coming to town. Unfortunately, Reds playing some good baseball right now, which I hate because my wife is a Reds fan, and I hate it that she comes in with any type of momentum whatsoever. But let's not lose our minds here and think that everything's screwed up and we have to start from scratch. It's not. We just have to move on to the next game.
Yep, and the next game will again be against the Dodgers, and it's one that again is going to be tough to win. But when you have an offense score 5 runs against one of the NL's top pitchers, an all-star, you feel pretty good. So bullpen malfunction, bullpen management. Maybe it was some people trying to blame John Mozeliak for the bullpen creation. That's also an argument. Mo gets a lot of heat, as most people in his position do. But nevertheless, let's look at the positives, JD, because the offense yesterday was a huge positive. So we'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. But whether you're ready to pop the question or you're trying to celebrate a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with modern convenience of online shopping. That's at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, clarity, as well as setting style. Everything is handmade. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will hand make them, and it's a one-of-a-kind engagement ring each and every time. Or if you're just looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, I'm right there with you. Use Blue Nile's jewelry experts that are on hand 24/7, available via the phone or chat function to help you find a memorable gift at every single budget. Make your moments sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners, that's you, will receive a special of $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive. You only get it by listening to Locked On Podcasts. It includes engagement. Use code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDEN, that's Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever peace by going to BlueNile.com today. We saw Goldschmidt driving a couple runs in the first inning. Those are pretty likely characters, right? But you mentioned in the cold open on YouTube that we also saw some offense from some unlikely characters as Andrew Knizner still tries to fight for some playing time despite the news of Molina coming back. It was good to see Kiz produce.
Yeah, he's seeing the ball well. 2 more hits last night. And don't look now, but other than Nootbaar in the lineup last night, all of the Cardinal starters have a batting average above 200, Lucas. How about that? The Mendoza line, they have passed it, except for Nootbaar, who's now at 198. Though Nootbaar has 2 more hits last night. You know, they're getting contributions from all sorts of people in the lineup. You mentioned Goldschmidt, Arenado. Goldie in a bit of a rut for him. Okay, right now, but still contributing 1 for 4, 2 RBIs last night. His average at 332. Arenado's clearly seeing the ball better. Has made some adjustments. He puts another one out yesterday, hitting his 18th home run of the season. The only real hole last night that I saw, Gorman goes 0 for 4, Carlson 0 for 5, and that number 2 spot. That seems to be really the problem. The more I look through the box scores and go through these games, that number 2 hole, they haven't found somebody really to sit there and be steady. Like it just seems to be kind of an issue right now. It was the number 6 hole. Pujols has been doing his thing. He had another hit last night. Dickerson 0 for 4 last night, but he had some good at bats. But they were able to get to one of the best pitchers in the league, and Tony Gonsolin last night in just 5 innings. He gives up 5 earned runs. They get 7 innings, strikes out 6. But so what? I mean, it's okay. We'll be fine with that. But to see the bottom half of the order contribute, and you also had Goldie and Arenado jumping in. When you score 6 runs, you expect to win in the major leagues. Yeah. you expect that, especially at home. So you expected a W, and unfortunately, it didn't happen last night. But the offense itself, as a whole, trending upwards.
Yeah, turning at an absolute straight trajectory, in my opinion, and that's really where they were struggling in the series against Atlanta last week. The offense was not hitting, and we said at the time, like we mentioned, while we were talking about it, yes, this is a concern. The offense is struggling. We're going to talk about it. But we also know, and same thing with the pitching that we just talked about in the first segment, we also know that it's a very long season, right? We know that these periods of struggle are going to happen, just like these periods of upward production are going to happen as well, which is what we're getting from the St. Louis Cardinals right now. Again, I know some of people might not really know the name Tony Gonsolin, maybe he's not a household name like an Alcantara or a Burns, right? But Gonsolin's right in there in that conversation for NL Cy Young. So let's not just dismiss the fact or lose in the bullpen conversation what the Cardinals offense did by scoring 5 runs off of Gonsolin. They got one more at the inning later, and they did it with some power. You had the Arenado home run, the Knizner double, right? So this is a good thing for this Cardinal offense. This, it's a rarity almost to have things go at an upward trajectory at the same time. Usually you got to pick one or the other, and the team that ends up finding both things at the same time in October, those are the teams that win. But this offense right now, at least for the last couple, call it a week since the Braves series, on an upward trend. They need guys other than Goldschmidt and Arenado to produce. They're getting that with the likes of Pujols, Dickerson, Newt Barr. Hard to believe I'm saying that. But even Andrew Knizner. You mentioned everybody's got an average above 200. Knizner's right there. He's above 208 now. His OPS is soaring. It's at 565 now. But no, the numbers continue to rise, which is a good thing. And it's great to see Pujols continue getting hits as well.
Yeah, you know how it is with the Major League Baseball season, a lot of ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and you just got to work your way through it. We discussed this before. The balance is what you're looking for. At some point, you're hoping it all comes together at once, but now the offense starting to come up. Starting pitching's been good, and then the bullpen implodes last night. So, it's the balance, and there always seems to be something with this team and that is down. And when it all comes together, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. But these games happen. I feel bad for people who lose their minds over stuff like this. Like people should be fired and everything's got to be turned over. It's not the case. Like you had a 6-0 lead over the Dodgers against arguably their best pitcher. I mean, you would say probably Kershaw, I guess, it would be their ace just name alone. But Gonsolin's been incredible. Like his ERA just got over 2 because of last night's game.
Right.
All right. So they had a good approach and they took it to him. Just weren't able to come out with the victory in the end. But the beautiful thing about baseball is there's always tomorrow, and we've got another game tonight.
Yeah, we do. A little bit of an earlier start tonight. But, again, I just want to focus on Knizner for just a moment real quick because I think he's somebody that I really do feel bad for. Because he was the second guy after Carson Kelly left. Like, here comes another prospect for the catching position that's supposed to hit, right? And he has at times, but you look at it right now, real quick. He's 7 for his last 18. That's a 3.89 average in his last 7 games. On base of 421, slugging 444. That will play at the major league level. But anyways, back to the point is that he's kind of got lost, right? He was the second guy after Kelly. Kelly goes on, hits 20 home runs in Arizona the year after he leaves. When the Goldschmidt trade, so you're thinking good things, and he just can't get ahead of Yadier. Now, granted, nobody can, but Knizner is. I was more high on Knizner than I was at Carson Kelly, at least in their prospect days, right? Just for what Knizner did at the plate, I thought Knizner hit a little bit more. And now you got Ivan Herrera coming up again, that now people think he's the catcher of the future. You're starting feeling, at least I am, really bad for Knizner, because I think on a lot of major league teams, they could retool his swing, they could figure it out, and they could get him some playing time. I'm happy that he's producing. It's just, we wonder how long it's going to last, right? So I just wanted to get that note in on Knizner real quick, because I really do like Knizner. I think he can play. I just think he's having a tough time finding his footing at the major league level, and it's hard to get playing time when the person in front of you is a Hall of Famer.
Well, yeah, you're not getting the at-bats that you want to get comfortable in the box, and playing time is very, very important at this level because if you're not playing, you just get stale. I mean, you can only take batting practice so many times. I mean, it's just not the same as taking at-bats against live major league pitchers.
Right.
So, he's a steady guy. When next year, when Molina's gone, will it be a Knizner-Herrera combo, and then whoever plays the best plays the most? Right. That's what we're kind of looking at. So, I mean, he's got to go out and compete and earn the job. And what he's done in the last couple of days has certainly opened up some eyes, and we'll definitely get him more playing time for sure. Austin Romine, he was just kind of a little Band-Aid until Molina gets back, Exactly. Yeah. I know. You're laughing. Austin Romine, man, was on this team for some reason. Yeah. So I have no worries that Knizner will be here. And I'm sure they'll take it easy with Molina. I don't think Molina's going to come back and, play 6 out of 7 games each week like he's normally used to. They're going to let Knizner continue to play and get at bats. So I think he's proven that he deserves the chance.
Absolutely. If I were a betting man, I would say that Molina only plays once every 5 days. With Adam Wainwright coming in, catching him. Some people think that that's how he should be playing now, only playing, or should have been playing when he was healthy, only with Wainwright. But hopefully they get a chance to break that record, or at least tie it, or get a little bit more of Yadier and Wainwright. I just hope for at least for the complete fan side of thing. I hope that it's just Yadier and Wainwright get a few more good starts in.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. And if you're a betting person, as Lucas mentioned, BetOnline.net, that is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. You can find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including Major League Baseball. NFL camps open up at the end of the month, and then you'll have those preseason games that'll start on August 4th, the Hall of Fame game between the Jaguars and the Raiders. Who are you betting on there if you were to place a bet at betonline.net, Lucas? You got the Jags, you got the Raiders.
Probably going Raiders. That's a tough division in football, so I'm going with the Raiders.
All right, Raiders currently 1.5-point favorites in that one at betonline.net. And you can go to BetOnline as your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And betonline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season because it is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. The Open at St. Andrews begins today, so golf fans are going to be all over this one. And it's really fun. I don't know if you've ever bet on golf before, but I fall asleep watching golf. I love the sport. I can't stand watching it on TV, but when I place bets, then it makes it really, really enjoyable, and you'll stay awake for that one. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Cardinals with a chance for a series win tonight. That's right, even against the powerful Los Angeles Dodgers. But it will not be easy for a multitude of reasons. Number one, you look at who the Dodgers have on the mound, and Anderson. He's a lefty. He's 9-1, 3.15 ERA. I understand the Cardinals hit lefties very well. You'll see Albert in the lineup tonight. But he is a good pitcher. You've got Dakota Hudson on the mound, who has been trending downward over his last number of starts. His ERA has gotten up to 4, which his career ERA is only at 3.37. So very tall in his last 7 starts. He's only gone 38 and a third innings pitched. He's given up 23 earned runs for a 5.40 ERA. And you have a short bullpen. So if we thought the task was tall yesterday with Wainwright and Gonsolin on the mound, there's a really good argument the task is taller today with Hudson on the mound versus Anderson for a 6:15 start.
Yeah, I mean, you might have Hicks back. Maybe that's a possibility, yeah. But I maybe. I mean, it's a big question mark. Helsley, in case because people were like, why didn't he pitch last night? And it was Gallegos to the end. Had told Marmol that he just couldn't go, and I'm sure he's dealing with fatigue as well. You got to remember too, he's never pitched this much yet in the first half of the season, so he wasn't able to come in. He told Ollie, look, I'm out today. Like, I'm just kind of beat up, a little sore. So that's why you didn't see him in the game last night, in case you were wondering. But I would imagine he'd be available today as well. Oviedo should be available. But here's the thing, Hudson, you never know what you're going to get, man. True. He's a box of chocolates, as Forrest Gump would say. Some days you're like, look at this. It's beautiful. He's got his sinker going. He's down in the zone. They're pounding it into the turf. And Arenado and Edman are getting like 15 ground balls in the game, and it's a wonderful thing. And then you have the one games where he can't find the feel of the pitch, and he's all over the place. Like, he's walking people, he's up in the zone, and that's when the nasty, ugly Dakota Hudson comes out, and he just gets thrashed. If that happens today, they're in big trouble. They're in big trouble because the bullpen is depleted, as you mentioned. We saw what happened to them last night. They're all exhausted. I don't know what happens. I don't know if Pujols is ready to come in and pitch again. I don't know what they're going to do, what position player will be able to come in, but I hope we don't have to find out, Lucas, to be honest with you, because I don't want to see it.
Totally agree. You'd much rather have the good chocolate. I don't know, you can all figure what your favorite kind of chocolate is, but hopefully Dakota Hudson is that tonight. But just to go to your point on Helsley for just a moment, in 2019 he pitched 36 and 2/3 of an inning, 12 innings in the COVID season, 47 and a third innings last year. But you got to remember, that was with some injuries. He spent a good amount of time on the IL, and that was over a full season. We are just over halfway into the season this year, and he's only 9 innings, 8 and 2/3 of an inning behind that mark. So he is pitching. Yeah. His rate is much higher than it's ever been. So he's got to be honest with himself. And it might be frustrating not to have him pitch yesterday, but I'd much rather have him healthy and fresh in October than burnt out in July, right? So just a quick note on that. Good point by you, JD.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned that Dakota Hudson is a wild card, absolute wild card. Hopefully you see Albert in lineup tonight again against the lefty, and that the offense can continue to do what they're doing. But as we well know, the Dakota Hudson might throw 8 shutout innings, and the Cardinals might get shut out for 8 innings. That's a very real possibility, but that's the beauty of baseball, right? That you have the unknown, you have the unpredictability, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's going to be a tough thing. If I were a predicting person, I think baseball is very hard to predict. I would predict a loss tonight, JD. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I know that I'm Cardinal, but sometimes you just got to be real, right? But sometimes you just got to be real and look at what's going on, because Oviedo and Hicks both threw 38 and 37 pitches respectively, or 37, 38, excuse me. So you would imagine, again, like you said, both are unavailable. So it's going to be a tall task tonight against the Dodgers. But I do want to talk about, real quick before we wrap up, is the Cardinals are going to get somebody back this week, hopefully 2 people back this weekend. There's talks about Tyler O'Neill being activated today, Thursday. As we record, he has not been, obviously. And then Steven Matz has been very lightly penciled in to that Sunday start against the Reds.
Yeah, and that's huge to get a fresh arm. I would like to they sent Zach Thompson down to stretch it out because they want to bring him back as a starter is what they're looking at. He'd be a nice name to just kind of bring him up. Yeah. I don't know all the rules about transactions and how many times somebody can move up and down, whatever, in a certain amount of time. I don't know what the rules are there, but maybe send somebody down and let Thompson come back up just so you have available arms for the next 4 games against the Dodgers and then the Reds, because you need some fresh arms, because you can't have what happened last night happen again, where you're just running on fumes with guys who shouldn't be out there because they're exhausted, and Ollie's only got so much to work with. I mean, that's all you have. Okay. If I only have a certain amount of tools in my toolbox, that's all I can try to do to put this thing together. And that's what happened last night, and you saw it implode. So it'll be huge to get Matt's back. A healthy Matt, who apparently looked good down in Memphis, in his couple starts. So that's great to hear. He's not dealing the issues there. O'Neill will be huge to get another right-handed bat in the lineup. I know.
Little shoulder tug. That was hilarious.
And then to get O'Neill in the lineup, so you would have, hopefully, if he does get activated for tonight, that'd be awesome, because then you would have him, Carlson, Yepes. You wouldn't have to put any of the left-handed bats out there. You would, except maybe Gorman, or I guess Sosa could start instead, and
you got a lot of you have more options. You definitely have a ton more options with O'Neill in the lineup.
Yeah. So you could put that all righty lineup in against the lefty tonight and do what you can.
Yep. And the thing too,
I will say one thing about the guy who's throwing tonight for that. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, so he's going to be around the zone. So don't be afraid to go up there and hack at the first one, boys, because he's going to be throwing strikes.
If you would have told me that the Cardinals would have scored 13 total runs in the first 2 games, 7 and 6 respectively, you're feeling pretty good about it, right? So do the Cardinals have any runs left over for the Thursday game of the series? Because we know earlier in the season the offense was feast or famine. So hopefully that trend does not continue tonight as the Cardinals go for a series win against the best team in the National League, World Series favorites, Los Angeles Dodgers. What you got there, JD? Is that a snake on your shirt? Cobra?
Cobra Kai. You got to fight. No mercy, Cardinals. No mercy. No mercy. You fight back, boy.
Love that. So be sure to make Locked On MLB Prospects your second listen of today. JD and I will be back tomorrow to hopefully talk about a series win, but also we'll be talking about these series coming up against the Cincinnati Reds. Yes, they're the Reds, but JD mentioned they're on a bit of a roll. So it might be a little bit more of a difficult series than the Cardinals might want as we sprint towards the All-Star break. Maybe we trip and stumble towards the All-Star break, but we will get there nonetheless. So thanks for tuning in to today's episode. From JD and myself, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.